as Spoker is starting to occupy the Quonset hut, we need to get they're willing to put some cameras through use of their Wi-Fi, where we need to get some signage up and stuff that we're working towards that.
Cameras pointed in that direction.
We spent a lot of money on that park and, the bathrooms and all that. We want to make sure the facilities are good, and if we have some folks that are just not doing the right things in there too, we just need to implement something to get them out of there for the simple fact that it's so heavily used and, like the city has invested a ton of money into it, so you just need to be proactive with it and just take care of it. But yeah, good job, Doug.
Anybody else? I'm grateful the public seemed to pay attention to the high fire range this year. I didn't hear nearly as many fireworks on the night of the 5th. And I've also been hearing compliments around the city for the amount of work the crews are doing, catching potholes quickly, and so just gonna pass it on to Mayor and Abby and the crew. Thank you guys.
Thanks. Moving on to. I didn't even look at that. What's out there? Yes, I'm shutting now. Anybody signed in or not? It's not good. Exciting. You're up, Rob. One with this wasn't here. Oh. You had to leave.
All right, so I just have a question, if the city knows how many of the vendors at the rodeo, had a city business license? Because it was presented to the businesses of Newport for fairness, to make sure that everybody is being accounted for, that we're all doing the right thing, that we're being held to the same standard, that we're all paying taxes, that we're all doing those things. The rodeo is a great thing for our community. However, a lot of those vendors are outside our community, right? So they come in, they take our dollars and they leave. So we need to capture as many of those dollars to keep them here that rightly need to stay here as possible, which is a business license, because it's not fair that I have to pay a business license. And then somebody that comes in from out of state, out of area, selling food just like I do, doesn't have to pay a business license. Somebody selling a t-shirt doesn't have to pay a business license, like Country Lane does. Somebody selling drinks, Safeway they don't have to buy a business license. The other thing is do we know if they're paying taxes? How many of those transactions are cash? Right, those dollars are coming in and they're leaving our community. The hole in the bucket keeps getting bigger and bigger. Again, I'm a proponent of the rodeo. I want it to stay. I think it's great for our community. But if we're gonna have outside vendors coming in, they need to be held to the same standards that the brick and mortar places are being held to here in town. So I don't know if there's, if you guys know how many of them have licenses.
So I know last year they all went through and got business licenses. I'd have to look if those were still renewal. There's also a secondary process that can happen now with vendor licenses for events lasting less than 3 days. So we can go back and look at their business.
Yeah, I mean, just, we need to be held to the same standards and we need to keep those dollars here. So don't disagree.
So I got a little follow-up, but that's a great question, Rob. So the fair that came to the road there, they would be one of the big vendors that came. Did they charge tax, and did we capture any of the sales tax from the tickets that they sold or the wristbands? I mean, that's a big one. So who's responsible for that? Is it an individual vendor? Is it the rodeo? Who's responsible for that? And how do we find out? Because that means like what you just said just kind of stuck in my mind. So if the fair came in and they just collected all the ticket money and all the wristband money and they just bailed without paying any of the tax, or they didn't even not collect tax. Like, what does that look like?
I think a call to the Department of Revenue would probably answer that very quickly for you.
But I'm just trying to figure out who's responsible for the vendors getting the either a permit or a business license. Is it the rodeo since it's under their umbrella, or is it after each individual vendor? And if that's the case, who checks this?
I thought we had talked that when they got, if they filed in the city and got a permit, there was like a little card that they would put on booths for the red fair and things like that, that we could check and walk by and be like, oh, they have it.
But who checks?
For the vendor
But who checks
licenses.
Who's the vendor police? I guess when Ray Hansen comes down and it's a little pass down too, we need to ask, for some fact that last time I heard Ray Hansen say they were not checking it. So are they underneath their umbrella? Are they not underneath their umbrella? Are they on the individual umbrella? But that's a good thing to know. For the simple fact that I agree with you, Rob. I said, if we're gonna have standards, we just hold everybody to the same accountability. Plus, if this money is leaving Newport without us getting, and this is not a greedy piece, right? But I get the concept. If a brick and mortar business has to have that standard, so should any vendor that's doing business inside the city limits. I mean, that's just the standard that we just came up with. And so, how do we find out? So I guess that would be the thing for Ray Hansen to ask, or maybe the city reaches out, because the deal is, if he says, we don't check it, then we have no accountability for any of it. So that means money could have just been gone, or they could have, right? So maybe that's a piece that we need to ask
Who
them.
rents out the spaces during the rodeo?
Well, I think each vendor pays the rodeo association, so
So should not the rodeo be
I think
responsible?
that has been the case in the past, that the rodeo is
the
checking those, but if they're checking, that's a different story.
So the question is they should be able to just, rodeo should be able to come to us and say, hey, listen, these are the vendors that we had, these guys that had all business license. So maybe we ask Mr. Hanson to produce that for us. Just to say,
I can follow up with them.
good, for sure.
Alright, there you go.
I think so. And I'm going to Vail because it's my son's birthday, so.
But it's fun,
Huh?
it's fun.
Which one? It's Austin's today.
Oh, just tell him I say happy birthday.
I will, he was wanting today, so.
Oh, I beat him there, though, right?
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Rob, happy, you're up.
All right, so, yes, we got the spray park up and running. We have a temporary fix. We're working on the long-term fix, but it is operational through this time. Our audit will be starting July 27th. We've been notified from the auditor, given a list of things to start working on. We did hire a new accounting clerk. Her first day will be on the 13th, so in a week. Road work is starting, so the fog seal portion of the work this year is starting to get underway, and we were able to get our rock supply, so as soon as they're done with that, they'll start doing some additional prep and get the chip seal going. I did attend the annual conference for AWC with Councilmember Weathers. We talked to a lot of people, had some really good sessions. I ran I've been sitting on the Employee Benefit Advisory Committee with AWC. That's our health trust for employees, so it was an unopposed election, so I was reappointed to that. I was also appointed to the RMSA committee, operating committee, so that's our risk pool. Let's see, to next meeting, we'll have interviews for our vacant council seat. To date, we've received 4 applications. Only 2 are qualified, as their 2 don't live within city limits. And so we'll be sending out a notification that we appreciate that they do have to live within city limits. For that, I gave you guys the rendering that I had received from the creative district for the Grizzly. I will ask for some more specs on it, what's being proposed, as well as so we can get some ideas. How it was left last meeting sounded like they'd have some additional funding possibly for setting it, and so we'll maybe one of these evenings we'll take a field trip. It's not that far. Let's see, to mark on your calendars, and we'll send out an invite. Right now, we're planning for September 28th to have a workshop with the Planning Commission and Council for the comprehensive plan draft. And speaking on that, we've been reaching out to the Department of Commerce. We've gotten no official update. I have heard through the grapevine Our reduction in funding is, about $900 is what, so we have, we were awarded two $50,000 one-year grants. We've expended one. The next one, I believe, will be reduced about $900, but I've not gotten that official word. And we've been, kind of pressing on that because we don't have an agreement. The last one ended June 30th. I had expected to get the new agreement sometime last month, so we are reaching out and trying to get that so we can put it before you guys. That's all the updates I have for you this evening.
We'd like to be the council, are we allowed to review the two people that are, qualified for the prior to?
Yes, there'll be interviews.
No, prior, I wanna see the, application prior to. the
I
meeting.
think you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can get those sent out. It's open until the 13th.
Okay.
But we can get those to you and
I mean, even if I just can come in and just.
Absolutely.
Just leave it here, I don't need an email to me,
Okay.
and then view it.
And then if there are any specific questions, we can email out the questions that we utilized last time. And if there's any additional questions, just don't hit reply all, but let us know. We can get those incorporated.
And how are we doing on the washtop, workshop?
I have not heard back, I left a message. So,
So this is going on 2 months now. So I mean, like, who's above that person? Cause I mean, honestly, if you're not hearing back, I mean, like, that's the piece that we wanna talk about, is like, at least get it in the works, and I mean, like, the first installing, because they don't answer for us. I mean, like, we should gotta go to the next person, I mean, like,
we'll check back with it.
we also know that one of our electeds. That represent this area is on the transportation committee too, so I mean, like, if we need to reach out to Andrew Abel. And to get a little bit of push too, let's get somebody here for this, cause I mean, like, we're, like. I know this process is gonna be a multi-year process, but the longer we wait, the longer it gets, I mean, like, if Black Dot's gonna answer us, we just go to the next person. So, I mean, like, I would like to see that sooner than later to be scheduled, even prior to September 28th would be nice. So, I mean, well, I mean, like, do you guys need some help with this? Do you, I mean, like, what can be done to try to see if we can expedite this? And I know it's not a huge priority, but if Blacktop's not getting back to you guys, then maybe we just send an email from the council.
So is this about the discussion about the couplet?
Yeah.
So in our public hearing, it's being, if approved tonight, incorporated into our transportation improvement plan. That's a step and help. Right now, it's not identified in any plan.
And I left that message a while ago, so
Yeah.
waiting for us, so I'll call back, try it maybe tomorrow.
I mean, like, if we need some help with our representative, I mean, like, I think Mr. Engel would be more than happy to lend us a little hand there. So I think if that means you want me to reach out to him, I'll be more than happy to, and then say, can we get a little bit of help with washed out?
I'll try that out again tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
I just think we should address the email we got from the softballs, or is it the softball solution? So we should have a workshop on that and get both, like, all the parties.
I did respond to that email, given some times to have a meeting, to discuss the lease, and I have not heard back.
So one of the things, I guess, gosh, I didn't want to say anything about it, but now that you invited up, so had a conversation with one of the Lily council members, like the committee members, and they think that this is 5 to 1,000 people, I mean, 500 to 1,000 people here for this event, because it's a qualifier for the state tournament. So it's like a regional thing, and so we're talking possibly, filling the campground. You know, people possibly stay in a hotel, some of that effect at the end of the day, and I get it, because I think the rodeo has to have parking, because no ifs or buts about it, I mean, that is how they get to do that, but we also could take a look at something down where, right next to the school in the flat surface area where we, like, folks come out and get that from us to rent for, when they have the church out there, or they have something else, but I mean, this could be a really good possibility for Newport to have tons of outside money to come into Newport. So, yeah, and I think that, and I said the same thing to them, I said, did you guys get together and talk about what the possibilities are? And I think that's the first step for them to take care of that. If, you know, the deal is too, I also heard one of the board members also told me, is like, well, we have the lease. Well, here's the flashback, we could break that lease. You gotta be able to be flexible and work with everybody else, and I think the rodeo can and will. I just think we just let them handle it first. And if they don't, then I guess the city could make some, you know, adjustments and all that kind of stuff, but I think that's a good thing for the simple fact that we always talking about how we want outside money coming in, and this is a great piece. This is where people come from the middle of the state, the west side of the state to play the league baseball, softball. So when they come, they bring money with them. So I just think that we let them kind of hash it out, and I think that we could just come in and see how we could help with it. But I think the league folks are gonna be here next meeting anyways. So, and I think when Ray's gonna be here for update, we can just say, can we just get you guys to sit down and talk about it? Because I do know that they haven't put a lot of money into fixing those fields, and so I think they could some good. Yeah,
And they're both reasonable,
yeah,
so.
So I have reached out, I have not heard back.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with having all three groups, you know, if they're asking something from us, I have a problem with us being a part of those conversations. That's just me.
it's gonna be a good event, you know. I mean, you're right, though, I think it needs some attention as well when we get to that piece.
Okay, moving down to old business. Motion to approve resolution 2026-0615, authorizing investment of city monies in the LGIP.
All right, so we did email out the prospectus, I'm sure it was riveting reading. But hopefully you all got a chance to read that, and if you have any questions about the resolution, reminder, this is allowing Teresa, who is our clerk, to be able to be the manager of the monies out of the LGIP, which is a local government investment pool.
Yeah, it's boring.
I caused the trouble, if you guys are good, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2026-0615, resolution authorizing investment in city Newport monies in a local government investment pool.
I'll second
I hear a first and a second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business, we will open a public hearing to discuss the 6-year transportation plan at 6:21 P.M.
All right, so, went through and updated, and I'll just kind of go down the list. It is somewhat priority based, and so, we can move these around, but because of discussions that I've been having, during council, number 1 is the Keplet feasibility study. Number 2 is downtown ADA parking establishment of that. 7th Street reconstruction is number 3. Number 4, roundabout feasibility study for Kalispell and Highway 2. Ongoing maintenance, small projects, that's a placeholder for, if the city identifies a project, TIB funding that is preservation based, those types of items. First Street grind and overlay, as well as, rehab and, surface water improvements. Safe walking plan to school, so there's a walking plan, but establishing sidewalks through those areas. 8th Street, State Street Avenue to Warren, build out road to right of way with curb, gutter and sidewalks. We do have funds from a fee in lieu of improvements to put towards a match for that. Fog seal, previous chip sealed streets, that'll just kind of, that's somewhat in the small ongoing maintenance and small projects, but slightly different. And then, State Highway 2 sidewalk extension from 7th Street to city limits. So again, this is what we think we should be able to tackle within the next 6 years. We update it annually. We can update it more frequently if something is found that we want to identify.
Any thoughts about, in this particular transportation plan, taking a look at, down on South Washington by Kelly's, the issue that we have currently every time it flash floods? Any thought about looking at the remedy for that? I know we have a drywall there, and I know that, you know, our guys do a great job taking the stuff out and unplugging, but it seems like every year there's a small Spokane river sitting in the middle of the street.
It's gonna be an engineering feat because of where the sidewalks, and so hopefully something, my thought with that overall plan is with through the couplet study that some redesigns would come out of
I know
that.
Whiteout's gonna say that's not us, and they're gonna say it's the city of Newport, which I get the concept, but if you look at where the water swells and which way it migrates toward the buildings and the city businesses and away from the other side, but it just, the crazy part of it is when the water's in the middle, people do not slow down, and then they create a worse havoc when they splash through there, and then you have flooded businesses. So, yeah, that'd be a great thing to look at too, if we have an opportunity, this, like, it doesn't happen like 100 times a year, but when it does happen, it just happens. Our guys do a great job when they get down there and they take care of business, but it would be one thing off their place that they may not have to do.
So are we looking at engineering of improvements to the storm water on 4th Street?
Honestly, at the end of the day,
I'm just,
I'm more want to point fingers at washout to say, hey, take a look at this road that you guys created. It is not doing the city any favors. There's gotta be a little bit of remedy, and sometimes,
Could be something way.
yeah, sometimes a little bit of curb, or a little bit of angle displacement to that will help out, so those businesses don't flood or whatever, but other than that is, you know, in the past year, they always said, well, that's not us, that's you guys. Which is true, but it is the state highway. So maybe there could be some mediation between both of us, say, how can we get together and both accomplish the same pieces to help this out? So I don't know which better way to do
so
that.
we can add a number 11 through that of storm and road grade redesign.
Cause I'm just not thinking I don't think another drywall in that place is gonna solve the issue.
What if,
It's not a drywall.
Or another place where the stormwater goes.
Yeah,
instead of having one place where it's all trying to go, couldn't we just like put where there's like rock and a metal grate along the side, you know, just down from the curb where water can, you know, go in a longer place to.
so we would need engineering.
Yeah.
So I'm not I'm not discounting you.
Come on,
but
Abby, we want
it would.
confirmation.
So storm and,
I mean, it would take one thing off you guys' plate when we get those seasons. And then, you know, because when everything happens, the guys like particularly this time of the year, when they did it, there was 3 guys working there, 3 guys working there, they were doing the same thing. And this might take something off you guys' plate where we actually get washed to go and say, okay, we could show you pictures because like, for example, the Club of the Achilles, they have plenty of it. And when the water's coming across the sidewalk, you know, it's not really up to them to say, hey, we need to have sandbags in our property all the time, there's gonna be a sandbag because the road is built terrible.
okay, so how I would, were I preparing this, would add it as storm and road grade engineering on 4th Street at the south end of Couplet. So for the engineering for that,
Increased drainage.
I mean, it's honestly,
I don't know that we need to get into that, it's if we're addressing the storm and road grade. And then to go, I would put the engineering at approximately. For our portion, and I'm doing it at a 13.5%, because that's what state match is. It would put it roughly at $85,000 for the engineering, so 75,000 would be. What we would request in funding, and our match would be approximately 10,000.
and I would even take it a step further where I would say, I feel like that's not even a safety issue.
And we can definitely, where in this, do you want it as number 11? What priority would council like to see that fall within? Maybe put it as number 5 and shift everything down.
I'm good as long as it makes the list, I don't, it doesn't really matter, I just think it needs a little bit of attention, it doesn't have to be the highest priority, but I think it
Okay.
just needs to be talked about and make the list for the simple fact that 2 things. Save on businesses, and then save on the city resources when that stuff happens.
So is council fine with that being 11 and establishing it on the plan? Or do you want it a higher? Because these are looked at prioritized wise.
You bumped it up to 5, then you can have it just above the ongoing maintenance and small projects.
Yeah,
We want to have like the fog seals, we want it.
so the FOBs, TIV, that one, so they're kind of placeholders. TIV for preservation monies, it's not required for those to be on our list, but it's good practice. If there's something that comes, you can kind of fit it in that bucket at times. So, happy to put it at number 5. And that would be my ballpark. The numbers that I'm giving you aren't the end all be all numbers, because we get an estimate, from an engineer as we were working through an application. But I think that's about the price point that you'd be looking at.
I know First Street gets flooding there too, so. Which one do we put ahead?
And, you know, if it's one or if they are prioritized, but, you know, kind of and I keep it small so that it's more focused. We could list every project that we could imagine. By having a smaller list, it shows that these actually made the priority list.
And be complete.
I'd be in favor of moving number 5. Does that make sense, Vicky? You've done a great job laying this out, I feel like. I don't see, and this maybe it's already in this correct plan, the streets that were chip sealed last year, they're already covered, we're gonna be fog sealing those this year.
That
So
is
this-
correct.
Yeah, just want to double check.
Yeah, that's funded and that work started today.
Yeah, that is a safety thing, so I'll use one small car zipping around with sliding in front of a semi or something. That would really mess things up.
I don't know, I think there's a lot of good projects on
I know.
it, so I would put it further down the list, but I do think it's still, we gotta be addressed.
As long as it makes the list,
Yeah.
I think we're good that way, it just needs to be on the radar for the simple fact that it is an issue, and there's not only. You know, hazardous to some of the businesses down there, but also I feel like it's a safety piece too, when people drive 25 miles through there, it creates a Newport ocean of waves.
So kind of hearing that, maybe I'll just place it at 11. It's on the list, allows us to look for funding. I went with the higher of the 2 matches. That way, if it's less, wonderful, but kind of just, you know, part of that too is for you guys to be able to see what the possible resources we would have to put towards these different projects. So how I have it is storm and road grade engineering on Fourth, at the end of the couplet, on the south end of the couplet. For 75,000, I'll just put washdot / TIB,
Maybe when we have the washdot representative here for a workshop too, we could provide some photographs and videos for him, just to get a little picture of what we're actually talking about, instead of saying there's just water on the sidewalk, there's like literally water on the sidewalk.
so I have that as. Our actual match at 13.5 would be 10,125, so I can definitely fill that and add that to the list.
Looking at the list, Abby, of what this is gonna require our guys to do, where would you slot that as far as timing for years? When would you start it?
For our guys,
So I don't know if our guys would have any, I mean, are we gonna have any signage? What's the implications for our staff if we did that project out there?
so this would just be for engineering,
Okay, just.
so that would be my time to apply for the funding, work with the engineer and.
But that's something you see happening in the near term or a few years out still?
So I would. If we're gonna establish dates, PE. I can look and we can put a 6/27, it might be more likely to be a 6/28. But I can put 6/27 for, a phase. It might be a little bit of a lofty goal, but I can see what funding I can find for that.
And is there any benefit to scheduling the engineering to happen when they might be out making assessments during the wet season? They'd actually see it.
I think there's enough pictures
Resources.
and, good engineers should be able to
Yes.
see it,
To be able to figure it out.
to see.
Okay. And the final question I got as far as this whole plan, which you put together, thank you so much. As you kind of starting to see the draft of our comprehensive plan taking place, and we're talking about sidewalks and stuff like that in here. Is that gonna dovetail pretty nicely with our plan going forward, what we're gonna do in the city next one is?
Yes,
There's
you know.
emphasis there, they're asking us, was it in your plan, we can point to. both
Yeah,
lines.
and having it in that plan, that's gonna go out a farther look as well. This is, you know, something we touch annually. So these will definitely be within that plan, but, it'll have kind of, it won't go down to maintenance of roads necessarily, but, for some of the big improvements that we're seeing, you know, long-term. You know, we haven't talked about, the South Bench for a while, but, you know, the access points, 8th Street leads in to that, and so. Some of those things will become higher priorities as other things, infrastructure falls into place, and those things might get moved to different.
Should, and like I said, we got this again, but as long as it's kind of covered by the umbrella of what we're doing on the other project, okay?
Yeah, I have, given them the draft and previous years. Tips.
Any questions from the public?
Sounds like a great plan.
Anybody online? Doesn't sound like it. Do you guys have any more questions? Then we good. You good, Abby? Did you have anything else to add? Right,
If there's not questions.
we will close the public hearing at 6:37. And then that moves us right into, and I imagine you're gonna say with additions to.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Motion to approve resolution 2026-0706, adopting the six-year transportation program.
We can just say with addition of priority number 11 is mentioned, is that?
Yes, I have it all written
All
down
right.
and add to it.
Then I will make a motion to approve resolution 2026-0706 with the addition of priority number 11 as mentioned.
Second.
I hear first and second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Which brings us down to Terry Ivy. You're next on the list.
I'm on the list. To be official, close that.
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you.
6:37.
Thank you, Keith. I hope you guys are not sick of seeing me, because I've been coming here for 2 decades. Oh, my God.
We always look forward to having you.
Right, everyone does, right, yeah. So when we started in '06, you guys were right on the bandwagon support and Relay for Life, and the same with Newport High School, and we're still going strong. It's 21st year this year. We're on the bandwagon with America for the 250th, so it's all patriotic with Power Purple still, of course. Since I'm a little bit later coming to you, I can at least report that the National Cancer Survivor Day, the first Sunday in June, we participated and had a nice luncheon at the Hospitality House for 48 survivors, caregivers, and their families. And it was just so nice to honor them. And all they want is somebody to care. And we did a good job of that, I think. So, we were in the rodeo parade, we had a big float, and we're gonna be in the Timber Day one leading up to the event. So it's August 7th at 6:30 at Newport High School. Survivor dinner will be at 5 in the cafeteria first. And then it goes till 6:30 in the morning, so 12-hour event with all kinds of family things to do, free pizza and pie at midnight, and every penny we raise goes to the American Cancer Society, and it does help local residents that need lodging, transportation to their chemo, the 24/7 helpline, and research, which is, helps everyone. So I just appreciate you letting me come again and ask on behalf of everyone, and I think it's a great event, and thank you for considering it again this year.
Thank you, Terry.
I'll make a motion to approve a motel tax funding for an amount of $1,000 for advertising for Ponderay Valley Relay for Life event.
Second it.
I hear first and second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Terry. Here, Steve. Right, now we have Michael Huntley from American Legion Post 155.
Walk over here. I'm the mayor, members of the city council. My name is Michael Huntley. I'm the first vice chair, or the first vice commander of the American Legion Post 155. Tonight I also have Tammy Allison. She's the president of our auxiliary. With them, they help the guys get things done, so to say. So with that, what we're asking for tonight is the city to support the event. It's a Newport stand down. We're asking for funding in the amount of $600 to match our funds we're using to take and market this event. The stand down is an event you see stand downs throughout the US. This is more of a regional event that we do, and the main intent is to assist veterans and their families, more specifically those who really need assistance, more low to moderate income veterans and their families. So what is the stand down? The stand down is an event where we bring the VA in, we bring a wide variety of nonprofit social services in. We also bring in the Ponderay Food Bank, we bring in other entities that are designed to identify and try to provide needed services to those veterans and their families. The event's gonna be on Saturday, July the 18th. It's from 8 until 2 o'clock over at Newport High. We've only picked this up. This is the second year that we're actually doing it. There was another nonprofit here in town that was handling it. We picked it up, and now we're trying to expand and improve upon it so we can provide even better services. We do use a wide variety of other entities. We have about 85 volunteers who come in, who provide assistance setting up on Friday, and then helping out at the event on Saturday. We anticipate about 300 people attending the event. Of the 300 people, about 85 of those being outside the area. And when I talk about regional in orientation, it's all the way down to Spokane, more toward the western part of the state. It also includes Idaho, parts of Montana. So we anticipate there to probably be about 15 individuals coming to town who may stay at some of the local visitors accommodations here in town. Some of those might also be some of the nonprofits who are coming in from a farther distance to provide assistance during this event. So with that, we are requesting that the city council consider a request of $600 to piggyback off the funding that we're using to provide this event. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions if you have any. Thank you.
I don't have any.
No, it's a good piece too, and you're aware this is a reimbursable fund, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's a great piece, and I think that any help, any kind of arm up or leg up, you would say, to any veteran out there is a great thing.
Sure. Just one last quick comment too. One of the ways we track that, and that's a key component of this funding also, is when veterans come in as well as these nonprofits who provide assistance, we take count of all those and where they're coming from, and we do ask where they're staying, you know, and try to track that, so that information is available if someone questions the use of these funds.
It's a great cause.
Thank you for taking
Yeah,
that,
thank you.
over, moving it forward. Abby, what is the status of our budget, our hotel tax fund budget? I mean, I love hearing people from the community using it, where are we at?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I know there's available.
Okay, good enough, yeah, that's great. We'll be able to.
Sure.
meet on the-
And the one last item for all the council, even though you are or not veterans, if the council or city administrator want to come to the event, see what's going on, get some idea of what's happening, please feel free to come by, and we'd like you guys to come by and see what's going on.
We would love to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
Not perfect.
Thank you.
Well, I will make a motion to authorize the hotel motel tax funding request in the amount of $600 for the Newport stand down.
I'll second that.
I hear first and a second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome to stay. We're almost done. Or you can leave. Whichever. Thank you. Which you're very welcome. This brings us to bills and payroll.
All right, I gotta do it again, and I enjoyed it, but, so, looked it over, everything looks good, so I make a motion to pay bills and payroll.
I'll second.
I hear first and a second, any further discussion? Favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, and we will adjourn at 6:45 P.M.
What is that, move over it?
At the end of this month is when I last, like, next time is when I last time doing
So we're going to the red, right?
Thank you.